When I get a day off, one of the things I really like to do is to get out in the countryside with my bow and have a rove. And today is a very special day because I got the opportunity to go roving with two old buddies, and they're both experts on medieval archery. Roving's a medieval game. You choose targets. They can be sticks or logs or molehills. You shoot arrows at them, and the archer who comes closest chooses the next target. Anthill over here. So, John, I really enjoy this roving, but what's the history behind it? What can you tell me about that?
I think it's the oldest form of archery. I think that anybody in the past, any hunter, would have practiced this if he couldn't hunt, to get his eyes adjusted to the distance of any animal that might be around.
Right. How about this anthill? I see there's a stick in the top of that.
What, the little fork stick?
Yeah,
right.
That'd be perfect.
How many are we having? Two again?
It's illegal now to hunt with a longbow, but games of roving like this can still keep the old skills alive. So how do we decide this one then, John?
If I were deciding, Ray, I think that we'd take you because yours is on a straighter line to the mark. Chris is going off slight angle, so I would have missed it.
Sorry about that, Chris.
Well, he's already had one. You've had two, and I'm still 0.
Right. Down to you this time then, John.
Well, true.
The English longbow is traditionally made from a yew tree, and Chris Boyton makes some of the best bows I know.
In the first instance, we're looking for something that's going to yield a bow stave of this sort of size and dimension. It's 6'6" roughly in length, straight of growth, completely clear of knots and small blemishes.
Right, well, show me what you do with it now you've got a piece.
Yes, okay. One of the things which is special about yew is these combinations of different materials which occur within the tree naturally, the sapwood and the red part, the heartwood. When the stave's actually removed from the tree, this part being the outermost part, it's actually got totally different qualities to the heartwood. The sapwood will take tension, and the heartwood, which is on the inside of the bow, will take compression. And so when the actual bow is held up and drawn, the elastic part of the tree, which is the sapwood, is under tension. So when the bow is drawn, that back part is stretched. Mm-hmm. So what you've got in the tree is a naturally laminated piece of timber to start with.
But how do you make that into the finished article like this?
Basically, it's with hand methods, using rasp, scrapers, planes, methods which have changed very little in 500 years.
And how long does it take?
For this particular bow, with the quality of timber that it's made from, about 10 hours work. The back of the bow would have been rubbed down to a very, very fine finish. In the old days, they would have used dogfish skins. Obviously, we're using sandpaper nowadays. It's much easier and cheaper to get hold of. So the back of the bow has got to be absolutely flawless and clean, smooth, no dig marks, no tool marks, because as the bow is actually held up and drawn, that surface is under tension. If there's any defects in the back, the bow could break.
Edward IV made it law that every Englishman had to possess bow and arrows. Anyone who failed to practice was fined a halfpenny.
In London, they had roving areas. Finsbury Fields near Moorgate was one of them. And they shot from all around the fields. The marks were set up in the borders and hedges, and they eventually became stone marks. And they shot from one to the other, like a game of golf.
But what happened if the archers shot somebody?
I think there was a statute that if a trespasser or a bypasser was in that area and was warned to move, and they didn't, and they got shot, you weren't prosecuted. The archers, that is, weren't prosecuted.
Right. So they took their archery very seriously.
They did.
Ooh. Yes. Oh. Oh, that's quite a view, isn't it?
Yeah, be some good shots there, eh?
I reckon so. We certainly used to take our archery seriously. At the Battle of Agincourt, 5,000 English archers were each shooting 15 arrows a minute and could hit a Frenchman at up to 300 yards. It was largely thanks to the game of roving that we once had those skills. So, John, why is it that roving appeals to you?
You get to judge the distances. You don't have anybody see your forts except your friends.
Yeah, and the challenge of the different angles and the light.
We don't have any guns, noise to scare the game. You can still hear the birds. They're unaffected by everything.
Yeah.